Let's Resin have very kindly sent me out their Resin Bubble Remover Machine, along with some of their epoxy resin, their high gloss 1:1, and also a lovely mould. And this is their screw top jar mould, so that's what we're going to be using today. So let's just clear out some of this space, and we'll start off by explaining this lovely machine. So first of all, it does come with a very lovely detailed instruction manual, as always with Let's Resin products. So that's nice and simple and easy to follow. The machine comes with its power cord, and then that just simply plugs in to that little socket at the back there. So on here you've got a rubber mat, so that's very handy for catching any spillage, and strong plastic dome that goes over the top, and that has a very lovely handy handle there to lift up and take off. You've got a rubber seal that goes all the way around this outside rim, so when the dome is actually on top, that's what gives it its tight seal. So I would suggest you try and keep that as clean as possible, just to make sure that seal stays nice and tight. So once the dome is on and the machine's going, it sucks out the air through this outlet here, and then it's blown out through the holes at the bottom there. So there's a lovely wide area here to put your cups once you've got your resin mixed, and that measures roughly just over 6 inches, but I would say it's 6 inches because you don't want your cups touching the sides. So if you've got one of the Let's Resin mixers, that even fits in there as well, which is lovely. So you can fit one of those in there. And these standard size pots that we all tend to use for resin, these are the 8-ounce pots, and you can fit, let's see, comfortably 3 of those in there. So a lovely size. And if you use the larger ones, I've got these ones that are straight up, but you can get the ones that are tapered, roughly the same size, holding about 600 ml, but mine are the wider ones at the bottom. So you could probably not get 2 of these wider bottom ones, but I believe the narrower ones you probably could get 2 in, or possibly 3, but you can fit one of those and 2 of the smaller ones, and then that fits over there. So lovely size. Oh, so yeah, when you've actually got resin in these, do be careful when you're taking the lids, this dome lid off. I would say maybe 3 of those is probably pushing it. I would say 2 if you're using that size and that size, so that when you're putting the lid on and off, just make sure you take the dome straight up and over. You don't want to be like knocking any of your resin over. So next, let's talk about the dial at the front. So nothing complicated about the dial on the front. Just press that middle section and it will come on. You can see it says 0 at the top and then the lines at the bottom there. The top numbers will tell you the pressure inside the dome, and that would go up to 99.9. So the only other thing is turn it left to go down and right to go up, and then that would tell you how much time that you're setting the machine to start for. So that goes up in 30-second increments. So say 5 minutes there, one little click, that takes to 5:30, 6:30, 7 minutes. On the dome here, there's this that reads press after starting. There's a picture of the dome and a hand on the top. So once you press that button to start, if you push down onto the top of the dome and then that will just ensure that you've got a nice tight seal when the machine starts. So let's just have a quick dry run with no resin in there. So let's set it for 3 minutes, and to start it you just press the button in the middle, hold down the top of the lid for a second, and then it will start, and you'll see the pressure going up in that top figure there. The pressure does take a little bit of time to reach the full 99.9, so do allow for that when you're putting your time in for how long you want to set it for. So if you want to set it for 5 minutes, maybe just add an extra minute to allow for that pressure to build up inside the dome. So we'll just wait for that to reach 99. So that's now reached 99.9, and I put that on a fast forward to get to that, and you can see it was at 1 minute and say 28 I think it was, maybe. So once it gets down to 0, the pressure, you don't have to press anything or do anything, the pressure will automatically release, and then the air will come out from underneath. So we'll just leave it running. I'll just pop you on a little fast forward. So now it's at 18, 17, 16 seconds. So as soon as it gets to 0, the machine will automatically release that pressure. So we'll just let it do that. And then you're hearing that, that's the pressure coming out from the dome. And that's going down 30, 20. And once it reaches the 0, then you know there's no more pressure inside the dome, and then that's free to lift off. So I think we ought to mix up some resin now and see it in action. So before you mix up your resin, you do want to take into account what size pot you're going to use, because once the resin is in the bubble remover, the level of the resin will rise to release those bubbles. So I want to mix up about 200 ml of resin. So if I was to use this little cup, 200 ml would be up to there, and then you want about the same again to allow for the bubbles. So if I was to use this pot, all my resin would just overflow inside the pot. So using the larger pot, my 200 ml will come up to there, which will allow plenty of space here for it to not overflow. So using a pot that's wider, the bubbles also have less distance to travel to release. So I'm going to use this pot, and then that will give me plenty of space for my bubbles. So I'm going to pour in 100 ml of part A, pop that into there. That's that one. And then I'm going to do 100 ml of part B. So I'm just going to get this poured and then get this mixed up, and then I'll see you back for putting it into the machine. I've mixed up my resin, and I mixed it quite fast to introduce all those bubbles that you can see in there. So we're going to pop that onto the machine, onto the lovely bubble remover, and then pop that lid on the top there. Let's just move that over a little bit. Hopefully you can see that. So I'm just going to turn the machine on, and so to allow for it reaching its pressure, I think I'll do it for 8 minutes. So press the button in the middle to get it started, push down on the top just to get that lovely tight seal, and then it's all sat. So I'll just pop you on a quick fast forward while it's counting down, and then I'll see you back when it's ready. So we're up to our last 13, 12, 11, 10 seconds now. So as soon as that gets to 0, that's going to automatically degas. So it will kick in now. It's releasing that pressure. The pressure bar is going down, as you can see there. So as soon as it reaches 0, we can take our resin out, and then we'll see how clear it is. Right, we're at 0 now, so we can lift off the lid. Don't forget, take it up really high, pop that over to the side, and let's have a look. Wow, that is impressive. That is absolutely incredible. I'm impressed with that. Got a couple of little bubbles on the top, but any other little bubbles on the top we can pop with a torch. So let's get this into a mould. So as you can see now from the top view, that is crystal clear, and if you do get any little bubbles on the top, you can always just pop those with a torch, or just give it a little spritz with some 99% alcohol. Brilliant, that's impressive. Right, so let's get this into this lovely screw top jar mould from Let's Resin. So I'm going to start off with the actual base, and I think we're just going to keep this clear. We won't add anything to it. Let's just keep it clear and see how clear we can get this to come out. So just going to top this one up, get this filled up. Hopefully I've made enough. Don't say I need to make some more. That's going to be a bit of a bummer if I do. Right, hopefully I've still got enough in there for the lid. So let's just pop that over to the side for a minute. And with the lid, because there's that screw section in there, I'm going to give this a squirt with some 99% alcohol. Just get some of that down into that screw section, and then we can fill up the lid. So just gently, slowly pouring that in, letting it find its own way into all those little screw details in there. I did make up enough, that was lucky. So get that filled up. And we do have a little lip going round here, so I'm just going to take my little tool here and just get any bubbles out that might be trapped under that rim. So just going all the way round, making sure there's nothing trapped there. Right, okay, so we're just going to leave this to cure, and then I'll see you back for demold. This is all cured up now, so let's pop it out and see how it's looking. There's going to be lots of places in that screw area where bubbles can get trapped, but let's have a look. Oh, what have I got on the top there? Oh, I think that is where I sprayed the alcohol on the top. Yeah, I shouldn't have done that. But apart from that, I mean, that's my mistake, that is. But yeah, clear. And that's a bit of resin that I dripped off by mistake. So that's nothing to do with the clarity either. Yes, right, okay. Let's get this one out and see how it's looking. Ooh. Oh, lovely. Got a few bubbles down the bottom there. Couple there, but other than that, that's looking good. Not as many bubbles around the rim that I thought might be there. Let's see if it screws together. Oh, it does. Perfect. Oh, that's really impressive. I like that. I think we'll do something with that top. So I've got this little heart that I made in a previous make. So I think I'll just add that to the top. Yeah. Yes, I think I will. So I'm going to use Let's Resin UV resin, and I'm going to put a generous amount of that on the top and just spread that all around. That will cover up my mistake from, I didn't realize that the top would be like this bit of the mold. I forgot this would actually be the top bit that you could see, because usually like it would be the other way round. So when you spray alcohol ink, you do get that cloudy bit sometimes. So let's just get a dotting tool, and I'm just going to take this UV resin all the way to the edges, and then we'll place the little heart in the middle, and there is actually a little lip there where it was a bit under poured, so it won't go anywhere either, which is good. Right, let's just give that a quick torch, pop those bubbles, and then we'll place that little heart in the middle there, get that centered, and then we'll cure that. So I'm just going to give that a cure for 2 minutes. That's all cured now, so let's have a look. Lovely. It just gives it that little something, doesn't it? There, so that's our little clear vase done. I'm really impressed with that. Look at that. That's incredible. I'm really impressed with this bubble remover machine from Let's Resin. I think if you can get those sort of results from a mould with all those areas that are prone for trapped bubbles, then it speaks for itself really, doesn't it? So thank you ever so much for watching my video today, and a huge thank you to Let's Resin for sending me out all these wonderful things. I really do appreciate that. So stay tuned for the pictures at the end, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye for now.